In the tangled web of the FNAF lore, there are very few theories that offer as much connective tissue as Edwin Murray's mansion. You see, I think Edwin Murray's mansion is the precursor to the FNAF 4 house. And out of the 3 endings in Secret of the Mimic, I'm going to prove to you that the Cradle.exe ending, otherwise known as the good ending, is the canon ending of the game, and sets the stage for Fazbear Entertainment to repurpose Edwin's property. One thing that I think Steelwool intended for Secret of the Mimic to do was to help explain the origins of FNAF. And to be honest, the game has changed the way that we look at the lore that we thought we knew forever. They brought in Edwin Murray, and we all thought that Henry Emily and William Afton invented all kinds of ideas like spring locks, which we'll talk about in the next video, but really, Henry Emily was involved a lot in the creation of Fazbear products. It helped explain what happened at Fall Fest and the relationship between Fazbear Entertainment and MCM. But one thing it did not answer clearly was, how did the game end? In the game, there are 3 endings: the bad ending, the good ending, and the secret ending. And just for reference, I like to call the good ending the Cradle.exe ending. Just thought I'd mention that because that's how I'll be referring to it for the whole video. In the bad ending, you basically give the blueprints right back to the Mimic, and the Mimic ends up killing you in the van as you drive away. In the good ending, basically the same thing happens, except you actually make it out with the schematics, but you set the whole entire place on fire just before the Mimic comes, wrecks your van, and steals the blueprints back. Now personally, I think you actually survived the car crash. Now the secret ending is where things get interesting. You end up walking into a room that resembles the FNAF 4 bedroom, and you tell a story to the Mimic, and the Mimic, you actually shut it down and it goes and it rests in bed and falls asleep. And yeah, that's where it ends. Thanks, Steelwool. I really love you guys. So that left us all with the begging question, which ending is canon? Now, I think there's variables of cool things you can explore with each individual ending, but I'm pushing the fact that Cradle.exe is the canon ending because it fits chronologically best with the FNAF timeline and how things eventually end up. And I think that the best proof for this is the FNAF 4 house, which literally was teased in the secret ending. You see, there are some very interesting details of the land that the FNAF 4 house is on in connection to Fredbear's Family Diner. You see, the FNAF 4 house is set up on a hill, and it's very close in proximity to the restaurant. Now, what do we see in Secret of the Mimic? We literally have Edwin Murray's house up on a hill and in close proximity to the facility. There's also lots of trees and things around the house which mimics, pun intended, the FNAF 4 house. To me, this was all just too much of a coincidence, and especially since the FNAF 4 bedroom, I think, was teased in the secret ending. And I think Steelwool did that as a nudge into understanding that direction, not as actually saying this is a canon ending, but simply saying, hey, here's the FNAF 4 bedroom, go figure this out. And if you think that the Cradle.exe ending is the canon ending, it just adds a dramatic layer and finale to the game, and honestly wipes the slate clean, allowing Fazbear Entertainment to come in and repurpose the place for their own facility. Everything's been burned down. The Edwin Murray's mansion is in ruins, and William Afton can rebuild his own house right where Edwin's was and build the FNAF restaurant location right where the old facility was. This would also explain how the Mimic eventually ends up in the basement of the Mega Pizzaplex. If Fazbear Entertainment has always rebuilt on the exact same location, that would mean that the Mimic would have been in the same place the entire time, and therefore give an answer to that question. And that's why the Cradle.exe ending makes the most sense. It fits in chronologically. Also, it's worth to note that in Secret of the Mimic, there are certain logs on the computer that show that William Afton has purchased the property. Now, this is a critical detail. In one of these security logs, William Afton writes, "Although we now technically own the land, we would never touch the house your parents built. We feel this offer has been more than fair considering how far behind you are. It's just too much for you to handle alone. We are waiting for your response. William Afton." I believe all of this is just a result of Edwin Murray paying too much attention to his Mimic programs and not trying to keep up his business financially. Fazbear Entertainment swoops in, buys it, and is trying to negotiate a better deal with Edwin Murray. Later, Edwin Murray goes missing, and in 1979, Fazbear sends in their own employees to confiscate their own property. Arnold goes in, starts the Cradle.exe, and burns the entire place to the ground, giving Fazbear Entertainment the perfect opportunity to rebuild. And I think they even used some of the leftover stuff that Edwin Murray was working on for the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location. We see this in the basement of the game. It's possible that since this was in the basement, some of it didn't get all burned up, and they were able to salvage some of it and use it in the Freddy's location that they built during the 1880s. I think another interesting aspect is Sister Location, where we see that William Afton has built an underground bunker literally designated to house animatronics and experimental equipment for experimenting on children. Now, a lot of us, when we first saw Sister Location, we were always confused on how William Afton was able to build a whole corridor and tunnel system underneath his house without getting any kind of suspicion or anything. But what do we see in Secret of the Mimic? We literally have tunnels and corridors all underneath Edwin Murray's house, something that would not have been destroyed by the fire in the Cradle.exe ending. So if William Afton just came along and built his house right on top of that, that would have gave perfect access to everything that we see in Sister Location. Also in Sister Location, we have another clue as to how the FNAF 4 house is connected. After every single night, we play as Mike and we sit in our living room eating popcorn and watching our favorite TV show, The Immortal and the Restless.
The baby isn't mine.
He ate the cat!
Now, for a long time, we have all thought this has been referring to the Afton family. Some are now theorizing that it's actually not. It's actually Edwin Murray's family, but that's a discussion for another time. But we see that the house, the wife eventually burns to the ground.
Good! Because I also set the house on fire!
How will it all end?
Just to show that William Afton rebuilt the FNAF 4 house where Edwin Murray's was. And I think this is a perfect example of Steelwool going back and trying to connect something with a new game with a previous game to give us an answer that makes sense. Like, why did William Afton have tunnels underneath his house and how did they get there? Well, Edwin Murray had them built first. And as time goes on and Steelwool releases more games, I think we'll have more and more answers just like this to look back on and be like, ah, that makes sense now. And so that is why I think that the FNAF 4 house is, in fact, Edwin Murray's house. Make sure to check out this video where I connect William Afton, Gregory, and the Mimic all together to show truly what William Afton's plan was for the Mimic. And I'll see you next time.